Hi guys, today's topic is going to be reading pedigree charts and practicing with them. So today's bell work, which it is December 1st, yay, Tuesday. The first thing that you need to do is actually draw the pedigree, okay? So I want you to take a minute and I want you to draw your pedigree inside of your bell worksheet. And I'll go over the questions with you and the things that we need to label as well. Okay. So I'm going to draw my first generation. Okay, so circle, attach that circle to a square. Please remember that that represents a union or a marriage. The circle is a female, the male is a square. Okay, and we're going to start by taking a line underneath that. Okay, give yourself some space because you can see there's a few people in this generation. What we're going to do is we're going to draw one circle, square, circle, square. Notice that's 4 children for these particular individuals, okay? One daughter, one son, one daughter, one son. And then we're going to show generation 2, okay, this daughter, there's a marriage or a union, and then they have one son, one daughter. Over here, we have another union, make that line attached. Both have the trait, so they're all shaded in. We're now going to have this generation. So this is their daughter, their son, and son. Okay, you should label. I wish I could write. You can label right here, generation 1, 2, the Roman numeral 2, and 3. That was a 3. Okay. So how many are females? So I'm going to count with you. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 6. How many are males? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, number 3 is a little harder. So what we're going to do is we're going to label and shade in all the carriers. So remember, when it's completely shaded in, they have the trait. When it's half shaded in, they're a carrier. So this one, we have to figure out who's the carriers. They're not shaded in for us yet. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start from the top and kind of work it like a mystery. So first we're going to see on the top, we have mom and dad here, right? Okay. And they are going to have that union. They have the 4 children. Now remember, mom can only give, she has 2 of the same trait. She has the trait. She shows it in her phenotype. So her daughter over here, since we don't have it all shaded in, has to be what we call a carrier. So we're going to label this carrier. Okay. So I can't shade it in on here, but I want you to label or shade this in half. And then the same thing here. She has to give one of those traits to her daughter, okay? Because she can only give one and dad's going to give one. She gave one here, right? Okay, but she has to do that. So this is a carrier. But they also have a son that has the trait. Again, she can only give one of her genes. So she gave one that is obviously going to be the half shaded in, but since he's totally shaded in and shows the trait, that means the dad over here must have been a carrier. So far we shaded in this one, and this one, but half because it's a carrier, okay? Okay, let's look again. So now we have here, we see they have a child that has it. So that means that both of them have to be carriers in order to have given it to their son. So shade in, we already knew this one. Shade in, we know dad now has to have had it, at least carried it. Now, could they have both not given it to their daughter? They could. So we don't know. Maybe, in years later, if she has a child and they have it, then we'll be able to tell. But right now, we can't shade that one as a carrier. All right. And then over here, they all have it. So they all have the same genotype. Okay. So now what you're going to do is you're going to use the letter D for dimples. D is dominant over not having dimples. And you're going to label the genotypes. It's a lot easier now that we labeled the carriers. So anybody that is completely shaded in, we're going to put capital D, capital D. So capital D, 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 just write it underneath. Capital D, capital D, capital D, capital D, capital D, capital D, and capital D, capital D. Anybody who's a carrier is going to have carrying the gene but not have it. So it's going to be capital D, lowercase d, capital D, lowercase d, capital D, lowercase d, and capital D, lowercase d. Over here, we're going to leave this one, or we're going to know that this one is going to be either. We can't really tell for sure. So let's put capital D, lowercase d, or little d, okay, because we're not sure. All right, guys, that's the answer to your do now. Make sure by the end you can answer what is a carrier on your do now sheet or your bell worksheet in the problem box when they're on the problem box, the answer box of the problem. Sheesh. Okay, I'm going to exit this. Let's see if I can do it all in one video. I'm not sure. Pull